I'm a fast speaker, so we'll go ahead and get started though. So a few years ago, I was on vacation in the Bahamas on a scuba diving trip. I went on my first dive off the boat, came across a beautiful reef, and came face to face with an 8-foot shark. This is my first shark ever encounter while scuba diving. And I froze. I didn't know what to do. I had forgotten everything I had learned over the many years I've been diving, and I didn't know what to do. Later on, I went back on my boat, was talking with my dive master about it, and she had actually told me I did exactly what I was supposed to do. Just stay still. Don't punch the shark. Don't swim away from the shark. Just stay still. And he swam off. He didn't care about me. So why am I sharing this outside? It's a little bit funny. This week, right, is your shark moment. There's a lot of transformation going on, happening, already happened, and you're going to panic. There's a little bit of panic going on. There's a lot of changes. So I want you to know, like my dive master told me, we have the training and resources available. You guys are trained. We have everything ready for you. I'm your dive master for FY18 for P-Seller, as well as your Microsoft PDMs and PSEs. We're here to support you. And that's actually my sister. I took that of her. So first I want to do is celebrate a P-Seller amongst us. As many of you know, that we have P-Seller of the Year Awards as part of our Microsoft Inspire Awards. Reed of New Signature, if you want to come on up, was a finalist for our P-Seller Awards. These are global awards. So he was our only U.S. finalist. So I want to just present you with an award. Great job, Reed. You feel powerful.
Yeah, I do.
Good.
Yeah, great.
Thank you, Reed.
Picture. You looking good? Okay.
So there is a whole criteria list. Actually, on the next slide here, I have a hyperlink to what the criteria was for the P-Sellers to be able to win. Anticipated that question. So just a little bit of housekeeping here. We will have about at least 10 minutes of Q&A if I do speak quickly at the end. So we do know there's a lot of Q&A. All of the slides I shared today, I will post to the Yammer group, the P-Seller Yammer group, after or sometime tonight. When I get back to my computer, I will post everything. We will then at that time also post our FY18 program deck, which will replace the FY17 program deck. If anyone attended the P-CSA little experience theater, I have that deck as well, so I will post that as well. So later today, at some point later today, I will get the materials up there for you so you can share that. If you are not an active P-Seller in the room, you therefore don't have access to our Yammer group, I have business cards right here. Please grab one and ask me to send you the deck, and I will send you the materials because you won't have access to our Yammer group. I wanted to share with you all the U.S. P-Seller focused events we have going on in Inspire. There's a lot of material to be had. There's a lot of really great resources. So of course, we're already on the second column here in the middle of day 2. If you have not picked up your P-Seller badges for your company, please do. If we have time at the end of today, I do have them here with me. If not, I will be in the U.S. Lounge starting at 1 o'clock tomorrow for you to pick them up. I'm in the Madison Huddle Room. So please do. I still have a lot of the badges. This is the best way for you to get them. Anyone from your organization can pick them up. So just a quick reminder, this is the material I'm showing is U.S. partner facing only. This is P-Seller is a global program, so everything we're sharing today is for our U.S. partners. So if there's non-U.S. partners in the room, welcome. Just know that your local sub region for P-Seller program is going to be a little bit different than what we share today. Many of you have been around P-Seller probably longer than I have. I've only been enrolled for just over a year. So our middle gal here, Beth Harvey, is familiar to many, many people. She's around P-Seller for 6, 7, 8 years. So I wanted to do a quick introduction. So when you guys email the support alias, you know who you're talking to, right? A face behind the name. Unfortunately, Beth and Annie couldn't be with us here this week, but I am here. But I just want to do an introduction so you know who you're talking to behind the scenes. And they're both wonderful. They're both with me for the next fiscal year. So it's great. I'm glad to have that support. Most important slide, how to get a hold of us. My alias, our support alias, those are the 2 primary, and then of course our Yammer group. I will have this throughout the deck, so if you're not taking pictures, again, it's on my business card. Both these aliases are as well. You're welcome to come grab one. So to the fun stuff, the FY18 strategy. So for anybody that's new in the room on what P-Seller is, this is the exact same slide that we shared last year, so nothing has changed. We do not pay our P-Sellers. You guys do not pay us. It's not funded headcount. We treat our P-Sellers as an extension of our field sales team on behalf, when you go to your customer engagements and sell on behalf of Microsoft. What you'll see this year, and especially through the keynote sessions for the US keynote session later today with Dave Willis, is that everything about P-Seller this year is co-sell. Everything is pushing towards co-sell, the benefits of the program. Co-selling with P-Sellers is our critical motion to be able to drive revenue with Microsoft. So I know there's a lot of content on these slides. Again, I'm not going to exhaust them to make sure we have time for Q&A. However, everything will be sent to you and or posted on the Yammer group, so you can peruse them at your leisure. Some best practices. This is what Worldwide's pushing out for our best practices for FY18 this year. As we always know, customer comes first, right? That's pretty simple. What you do want to focus on really is that there are many of you. Right now in the US, we have about 300 partner organizations, which equates to about 1,200 individuals, right? Stand out in the crowd. Get to know your field sales team. Have a solution offering that might be different, and then let us know what that is. If you need connections, I happen to know a lot of people, but your PSC, now your Microsoft PDM, the new terminology, is the primary person to do that. They need to be the one evangelizing you with your field teams to be able you to be able to take advantage and build those relationships with them. And these are the goals that our FY18 global team has posted for this year for P-Sellers. At the bottom, again, happy customers, bigger revenue for you and for Microsoft. And again, the positioning. You are not a Microsoft employee. You are there on behalf of Microsoft. We have a little bit of issues with that sometimes in the field. But so it's just a repeat slide. Again, a lot of this material is just kind of a lot of refresher reminder for our active P-Sellers in the room. Okay, here comes some of the changes we got going on. Our roles for FY18. For those who've been around for a little bit, you can see that we have the P-SSP and the P-TSP, which are the same as last year. Those role descriptions have not changed. Launching as of about an hour and a half ago when Zolna, who was here in the front row, for anyone who has questions on P-CSA, talked about the P-CSA launch. We are now officially launching the P-CSA role. We'll get into that really detailed in a moment. The P-LSS role, right now that is open only to our LSP partners. We are looking with the CSP model how we can grow it there. But this is going to launch later in Q1. This is the only place you're going to see P-LSS on these decks because I'm still working with Scott Booth, who leads our LSP team, to be able to determine what those requirements look like, really how we want to launch that in Q1. So that will be coming later in Q1. So P-SSP. And all these photos were either taken by myself or my family, so it's kind of fun. The P-SSP, so our solution architect, right? So our sales solution practice, excuse me, not architect. Again, this material is the same as it was last year. There are solution specialists. So within the P-SSP, we have requirements. In FY17, you had to become Pitch Perfect certified within 6 months of onboarding into the program. This year, we're shortening it down to 3 months instead of the 6. It's about a 2 to 3 hour training, and we ask you to do it within 3 months of onboarding. This is effective as of today. I know it says July 1st. We'll update it. So you don't have to worry about if you onboarded 6 months ago, you're getting kicked out of the program, right? Since changes were announced today, these are effective today. So you'll have until the end of Q1 to complete this requirement if you're a net new P-SSP in the program. Our P-TSP. This is about our 200 to 300 level technical specialists across all the workloads. This is the person that really is kind of a hybrid of the P-SSP, right? A lot of our P-SSPs can play both roles of the P-TSP and the P-SSP and vice versa. So that's where we're at right there. The requirements have changed for this year. So if you're a P-TSP, which many, about 70% of our P-sellers are P-TSPs today, so this slide affects you. In FY17, we didn't have any requirements for the role. FY18, we do. We now have to align to the technical exam certifications that our TSPs, now renamed to PTSs at Microsoft, have to complete as well. So we ask you to do the exact same exams that our Microsoft employees have to. We have the list of those exams in this deck. I'm not going to go through them. I'm just going to click through them real quick for you. But we do have that. We also have Learning Pass. I didn't mention this on the PSSP ones. Launching later in Q1 that our Worldwide Readiness team is going. We had these last year as well. They're really, really helpful on just different trainings and resources available for you depending on the role. So as we launch that, we'll be posting it to the Yammer group that you guys can take advantage of. So I'm just going to go through these. Again, this will all be available for you, but we don't need to look at those. So introduction of the P-CSA, the Cloud Solution Architect. This is strictly focused on Azure right now. The Cloud Solution Architect is our cloud deployment 400 level architect. We do have requirements set up for it, which we'll go through in a minute, but this is really someone that's really, really, really deep in Azure. As Zolna mentioned before, we also have the kind of the data intelligence side as an add-on to it, which we can talk about more. But this is someone that you guys all know who your company this is already. This is not a question of who this is. We have the same role slide as we do for the other roles. Again, this is very much a repeat of that previous slide, but we want to make sure you have the content of what that CSA looks like, what that role requirement looks like. And then the requirements, and this is US only. We are putting this in the US. We have CSA boot camps, Cloud Solution Architect boot camps, that happen about twice a year. Our next one will be in the fall. They're usually hosted in the Bellevue-Redmond area in Seattle. You must have attended the CSA boot camp prior to becoming a P-CSA, P-seller. I have all the reporting from every partner that has ever attended our CSA boot camps for the last 5 years. So if you've already attended, you're good. You don't need to go again. You can. You're more than welcome to. However, you do not need to. What you're going to be receiving from me in the next week or two is an email saying, hey, you qualify to be a P-CSA. Do you want to be one in the P-seller program? So I will reach out to you when I find that reporting and get together a couple emails to send out. So that is the requirement. This is different. The reason why I'm spending so much time on this is different from our P-TSP and our P-SSP roles. Those two roles, you can become a P-seller within one of those roles, and then we give you either that 3 or that 6 months to complete the requirement. You must attend the boot camp before you become a P-CSA. You can be a P-TSP, and then once you attend the boot camp, roll on over to P-CSA, that's fine. Or you can wait to onboard completely until you've attended the boot camp and become a P-CSA. Similar to the P-TSP role, we're doing a one-to-many sponsorship for the P-CSA due to bandwidth. So the technical community, so the Azure technical community, will be your Microsoft sponsor in the program as a P-CSA. So this is a new designation that we're launching, again, strictly in the US, the P-Seller Lead designation. This individual is somebody at your company that is going to be our primary singular point of contact for P-Seller updates. We've received feedback from many of you that you aren't very happy with us emailing your billable resources for programmatic updates, and that makes sense. So based on the feedback, again, I take feedback into this program all the time, we've decided to ask you to tell us who your lead should be. It does not have to be a P-Seller, can be a P-Seller. It's up to you. Every business model is different. A lot of times it's the alliance manager, your business manager, an admin, somebody within your company. We're going to email you again. We will email you in 2 weeks. And then once we have that individual's name, we will only be emailing that one individual. It'll be up to their discretion to spread out the information as they see fit to your billable resources, to your P-sellers within the company. So it'll be up to them to do that. We also give them access to the Yammer group and everything, since that's where all of our primary details will be, even if they're not active P-sellers, because they are our lead. So some of the materials we have available for you for FY18. Very similar to what we saw last year, but again with a huge emphasis on co-sell. Co-sell is where we're headed. It's critical for us. Again, I've mentioned this before, you'll hear it all week. We also have a lot of enablement resources available for you. As I mentioned before, the Worldwide Learning Enablement, they're still launching a lot of materials due to the fun changes that we found out about on Saturday within our organization. So there is a little bit of shakeout there, but once they do officially launch, we will have all these resources. And that includes the Pitch Perfect certifications, the exam, the technical exams that we talked about, as well as many, many other resources, including those learning paths. And of course, you do have the P-Seller credential, right? Many of you hopefully picked up your pieces of flair. We have the 35 pieces of flair minimum here at Inspire, something I'm trying to do. I have many, many more of those if you would like to grab some more for your teams to be able to have the little button. Please let me know. I have a big bag of them, more than happy to give you some more. We also have the P-Seller Resource Portal. We launched this in Q3 of last year. This is where what we call the Assets Portal. The assets are where we host all of our internal information, our intranet, our roadmaps, compete documents, etc., that only you as P-Sellers have access to. So this is not a replacement of Infopedia, as we talked about in Q3, but it is a like portal to Infopedia to be able to give you this material. The Worldwide team has done a really great job of having a really open feedback for that. So if you need material, they have a Yammer group and an alias that you can ask for that. If you're looking for something, we know that the search functionality could use a little bit of tune-up. So that is rolling out later in Q1 as well for you to be able to find materials a little bit easier. But again, I want you to definitely take advantage of the resource portal and the assets. There are other materials on that portal, but definitely the assets section of that. The Azure Pass subscription. This is always a fun one, and I'm really happy Zolna's in the room so she can hear this. Zolna's the one from our Azure BG that gives us the Azure Passes. So the Azure Pass is a $250 a month, 12-month Azure Pass. It is a first come, first serve basis because we do have a limited amount. So if you are interested in receiving one, if your 12-month is up, please email our support team, the P-Seller support team, and they will either put you on a wait list if we don't have any of that time or give you a pass of when we do have budget. It is a best practice to tie it to your live ID rather than your partner organization in email, because we have had instances where individuals move organizations and they can't take the pass with them, but they might have 6 months left on that pass. So we do recommend that you tie it to your live ID rather than your org email. And of course, we have the P-Seller badges, which I did talk about a little bit earlier. These are a benefit of the program that brand you as a Microsoft partner seller. This is something you can take to your customer meetings if you would like, but essentially it has your name and your company name, and I do have everyone's badges here for anyone that does not have one that looks like that. If you did onboard within the last few weeks, I probably don't have them. It takes about a month or two for them to be printed and shipped to me. However, I do have a significant amount here, so please make sure and grab your companies on the way out. What I really also want to call out is our technical communities here in the US. This is just a US-based thing. Rest of the world doesn't have this type of capability. We have, based on workloads, your primary, your secondary, any of the ones you work on, these are the assets that you need to take advantage of. We have blogs, community calls, webinars, Connect series, and of course the Yammer group. So as we mentioned, the P-Seller Resource Portal has the assets material. We also have material on the Yammer groups. So usually the individuals that run these Yammer groups are the ones that are posting and giving worldwide teams the assets to post on the assets portal. So while we don't want you to go more than one place, if you have a really deep technical question, these are really great places to go because the individuals behind that run these communities are technical leaders in the US. And again, this slide will be shared since these are all hyperlinks. So for anyone in the room that is either not a P-Seller or wants to add additional P-Sellers in the US, from an organization requirement, we have something new, which is our second bullet. So I'll get there in a second. Our first bullet is a managed partner. So you must be on our MPL. So you can be a managed partner through different variations, but essentially being on our MPL, which is our Microsoft partner list. That's the first requirement. The second one, which is net new for this year, is our GTM, our go-to-market, gold criteria. This was just launched on Saturday. So we are still finalizing what this looks like, what the details are. It's going to look almost like a competency, right? You have your certain competencies. It shows up on your MPN page. This is going to be very similar once they roll out what it is. We will not enact this criteria to make it a requirement in the US until we have the final details. So we're not going to be pulling anybody out of the program tomorrow. Once we do determine what the criteria is finalized, I will absolutely let you guys know. And then we will talk about a time frame for you to make sure to get to gold if you are not already, to make sure that you can remain in the program. So we will have some, flexibility there, but we don't have much more on that. I do have one more slide I'll show you after this, after we exhaust this slide. The next requirement in the US is a gold cloud competency. We have 5 cloud competencies here in the US. You must be gold in one of them. You can be gold in all of them, but at least one of them. We, of course, have exceptions for our ISV partners, our project partners, and our Windows partners, that you can have one of those competencies in replacement of the gold cloud competency. For awareness, my team and I audit this once a month. Once a month, we look at all 300 partner organizations and make sure you're still on the MPL and you still are either gold cloud or gold on one of those other competencies. So if you get a note from me that you fell off, let's definitely work on that, because the last thing we want to do is because you missed an exam that you need to be pulled out of the program because you fell off of gold. So we do look at this once a month to make sure that you are continuing to maintain that status. There are a lot of questions that come up about how long am I allowed in the P-Seller program? When do I get kicked out? When's my expiration date, essentially? There is none. Once you're in, you're in. However, you do have to keep up the requirements from the roles that we talked about, the technical exams, pitch perfect, et cetera. You do have to meet those requirements, and you do have to maintain these requirements from the organization level. This is the singular slide I have on the gold to market gold, which is very high level. So as you can see, similar to what we had in the competencies, we have different tiers. So the tiers are silver to gold. There's not a lot of metrics here yet. It's all very qualitative on how they're going to classify gold to market gold. So again, as we do continue to finalize what that looks like and what those requirements are, I will let you guys know, and we will probably have another call about it. We'll put it on our Q1 quarterly P-Seller call. We'll get into detail about it quite a bit more. So, how to become a US P-Seller. We have a nomination process similar to what we did in FY17. If you are a PSSP, our sales-focused P-Sellers, you must be nominated into the program by your Microsoft PDM. If you are a P-TSP or a P-CSA, you can actually self-nominate or use your new lead designation at your P-Seller company, nominate an individual within your company into the program. You don't have to do it yourself, right? Have that billable resources, work with your lead, and have the lead submit that nomination form on behalf of them. We do take those nomination forms and we check things. We check for the technical exams. We will check for the CSA boot camp. We work with our technical lead for the primary competency that they're going to go into the community to make sure that it seems like a good fit. So it isn't a free-for-all. We do have checks and balances in the back for those active P-sellers that want to keep it a niche community. It is still very much a niche community. Bless you. So we did go through that pretty quickly, so we have more than enough time for Q&A. I'm more than happy to show any of the slides again. I did put my name and my alias up here, as well as our P-Seller alias, in case anybody needs that again. But I would like to open it up because I know there's many questions around this program and about any of the roles or requirements that we're launching for FY18. Yeah, so the alias is here. It's just small, but I can go back to the second one. Getting there. There we go. Was that the only question?
The LinkedIn Sales Navigator will be still available for P-sellers?
So yeah, so the question was regarding the LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So part of FY17 was a benefit for our P-sellers to be part of the social selling program at Microsoft. The biggest benefit of the Microsoft social selling program was a free license to LinkedIn Sales Navigator tool, which that license runs around $80 a month. When we had the Q3 program changes, which I'm sure I saw many of you as I went on a bit of a roadshow to land those changes, that benefit went away because it was tied to your B-Dash email account. Right now, I am still very much working with our LinkedIn team to get budget to bring that back into the program for FY18, but I do not have any defined criteria on if or even when that will become a benefit. If we do continue to be able to get budget, then I will push for that. But if not, I don't want to set any expectations otherwise. Yes?
I think I saw on like a fifth slide on benefits of being P-sellers. I thought I saw a bullet point under co-selling for access to incentives and funding.
Yeah, great question. I'll
P-sellers
get there eventually.
funding?
Yeah, so every year we do have a program that launches. It's called Cloud Jumpstart. The Cloud Jumpstart funding program does have specific funding dedicated to just our P-sellers. So a certain part of that gets dedicated just to P-sellers. I'm actually meeting with our Cloud Jumpstart team. Oh, somebody want to answer that? Great. Mm-hmm. Great. So just to repeat that, which is really great news, the Cloud Jumpstart funding in the past has been separated between P-seller funds and non-P-seller funds. A criteria they put into the program this year for that funding is that you must be a P-seller organization to receive those funds, which means more funding for all of our P-sellers. That's great. I am meeting with the Cloud Jumpstart team to define what that looks like, how much of it's marketing funds, how much of it's services funding, and how to designate individual organizations if it's a first come. So the programmatic side of it hasn't landed yet. However, once we do, we will be able to share that with you and how to apply for those funding. But it's fantastic news to hear that all of that funding is going towards our P-sellers.
Is it part of the Pi engine?
So traditionally, it has been a mix between Pi and SIF and a third-party platform. However, I'm not sure right now. They'll be part of the programmatic updates. As we all know, I have a soft spot for Pi. So we'll maybe push it through there. Okay, so just to very paraphrase, since in case anyone didn't hear it, there will be a singular platform as part of our go-to-market strategy for FY18 where partners can go in and apply for the funds. Very much paraphrase. Yes?
I know it's kind of early yet, but I'm just curious, has there been any discussion internally around the P-seller program aligning in some way to the new structure around Microsoft sales with a vertical designation such as healthcare or finance and that sort of thing, where that sort of aligns to the different groups that are going to be formed around the Microsoft?
The industry alignment? Yeah, there is big focus on industry alignment for P-sellers for FY18. We didn't include it here because as the roles, we don't classify that. We will ask you as part of your nomination form to identify that. And what happens to kind of just, I'll get back to the heart of your question in a minute. What happens when you do apply to become a P-seller? You get loaded into our internal system, what we call a P-seller finder tool. So when our field is looking for individuals, P-sellers to go co-sell with, They are able to search for you on your organization name or your location, your region district, your competencies, as well as industry. So there is a big focus on industry. Part of the P-Seller opportunities you have here at Inspire industry-focused trainings. So through the Partner Experience Center in the P-Seller booth, this year, you can actually sign up and do industry trainings with subject matter experts. So there is a big push for it this year as well. Since we don't have full clarity on what the industry alignments are within internally, I think that will roll out as I'll add more material as I learn that. But I definitely see that happening.
So with that, can we validate what we had put in there when we onboarded somehow?
Great question. So part of the email that you will receive from me in about a week or two is a big audit, right? We know that P-sellers leave companies. They might potentially change their focus. What we're going to do is we're going to send you a list of all the P-sellers that we have at your partner organization for you to validate that they're still there, that they're in the right role, that they have the right competencies, the right industry alignment, the right location, etc. This is where you can update our material. We do this once a year, this big audit, but at any point in the year, you're more than welcome to notify us if somebody leaves the company, if somebody changes roles, if somebody decides to become an EMS expert when they were Azure before, all of that stuff, or does an industry-focused training and is now an expert in the industry as well. So we will be doing that in the coming weeks, making sure we do a big audit to make sure our data is clean for FY18. But again, throughout the year, you're more than welcome to make those changes ad hoc. Yes?
Do P-seller leads have access to the resource portal?
We will give them access to the resource portal. Right now they don't because we don't know who they are. There's a few companies that we know who we work with, but we will give them access to everything that the P-sellers do, so that way they can be that in-between person for your billable resources.
So with the industries, would we be able to have multiple industry designations, or is it a one-to-one like it is technical to the technical community to a?
Right. So with industry, the way I see it is that similar to your competencies when you have the nomination form, we have updated our competencies for FY18. So part of that audit email, we will be doing that mapping from the FY17 competencies to the new FY18, and we're just going to send it to you to validate to make sure it's accurate. But part of it when you onboard is you select every competency that you are a knowledge expert in, and then you tell us what your number 1 and number 2 is. We will most likely do the same for industry, so that way we know everything you do play in, especially from your partner organization level, but really what your real number 1 and number 2 focuses are. Yes.
So that competency, called the skills matrix, is that available readily to internal Microsoft? Moving from the TSP to the CSA designation of role has the potential to take us out of other opportunities, but if they can't find us.
So if you are converting from a P-TSP to P-CSA, since CSA is focused on Azure, your primary competency will get mapped to the Azure workloads, whatever your primary within the Azure workloads is. However, we will still have your full capabilities on file. So when we utilize that P-Seller Finder tool that I was talking about, if you search in Windows and you were priorly in Windows, that will still show up. Yes, Chris.
So struggled a little bit because of the fragmentation of the technical communities, that there's Office 365, there's EMS, there's Windows 10, and a lot of times a question might be span 2 or 3 of those. And the EMS one is typically the most responsive one, and the only one that actually has a P-seller specific group.
It's the EMS.
Yammer, right? So I'm just, what is the plan going forward there? I mean, since we're looking at putting everything together at Microsoft 365, those kind of combining, because I do think that we need to have, need to understand all of those.
Right. So the question was that in the past, some of the technical communities have been fragmented based on the focuses, the competencies, the workloads that they're focused on, and what are we doing moving forward with Microsoft 365. So I was actually talking to our EMS lead this morning about that, the one that is most responsive, Nick and Rob. Yeah. So we haven't built out what that will look like, but I do foresee that it becoming part of the OCP, the one commercial partner, migrating our technical communities to reflect that, especially from a worldwide perspective. Again, the technical communities that I listed here are US based only. Rest of the world doesn't have this. So as we continue to see what worldwide rolls out, we will modify that, what works for us in the US, and we'll move forward with there. Yes.
So one commercial connection, will this span upper SMB, enterprise, CTM, all that?
Sure. So the one commercial partner team does span all segments. So we went from SMB and CTM into SMC, and we went from CAM and EPG into enterprise. That's kind of how they broke it up. So the P-Seller program spans everything from SMB to CTM to CAM to EPG, as well as public sector. So prior,
Would nominations be possible from any Microsoft Podcast?
yes, so the nominations for the P-TSP and the P-CSA, you can self-nominate or have your P-Seller lead nominate on behalf of someone at your company. But the SSPs still have to be nominated by your Microsoft PDM. And since it's a requirement for you to be a managed partner, whatever your PDM is that managing you as a partner organization needs to submit that nomination for you as a PSSP. Yes. Yeah. And we know that partners are managed in many different segments, right? So pick the one that's most relevant for that individual as well as that PDM, as that PDM is going to be the sponsor of that individual in the P-Seller program. And when you do submit a nomination form, it is a best practice to CC your PDM. We do anyways, but just kind of let them know. Was there another question? Yes.
With the two new classifications, is there going to be any change in the assets that those people have access to or the program benefits based on kind of the investments in getting those individuals up into those new distinctions, or is it just from the perspective of the P-Seller body?
Yeah, so just benefits that we might add in for different roles, it really depends on the role. The CSA, again, since we're just launching it here today, we're going to really look and try to drive the enablement and the ability for you to have additional materials. I know in the past we've, subsidized funding for, the boot camps. For those who anybody in the room was part of our P-CSA pilot in the US, we covered the boot camp fees for you to attend the CSA boot camp in addition to the pilot. So we're looking at different benefits to add in for that. Again, everything is just very new. So as we continue to roll out the worldwide training enablement and readiness, and as budgets land for myself, then we'll see what type of budget I have for this year. Sure. So for those who are unaware, Pitch Perfect is exactly what it sounds like. It's training to do your perfect pitch. So all of our PSEs, our PDMs, have to go through this as a requirement. What it is, it's about 2 hours of homework. So you watch some training videos. We have 5 or 6 different work streams in Pitch Perfect based on the different workloads. So we have business productivity, intelligent cloud. We have one on secure productive enterprise, etc. And so it's about 2 hours of homework and training. And part of the homework is that you fill out a workbook of an actual customer scenario of where you would need to go in, or you have gone in with this customer and pitch to them whatever focus is on your Pitch Perfect. Once you've submitted that homework and completed the training videos, then you actually get on a phone call with one of we call our Pitch Perfect coaches. These coaches are trained in Pitch Perfect, and you get on the phone with them and treat them as a customer. So they don't break role until the very end. It's a little intimidating for me, at least. So they don't break role, and you continue to do the pitch for them based on the training that you took and the training videos. And at the end of that call, they then provide you feedback. And so that way you can modify, and it's a very safe environment. They're very nice people. But this way you can modify your pitch. And then once you've completed the coaching, and if you've passed the coaching, then you become Pitch Perfect certified. And those training videos are available for all partners. So even if you have individuals at your company that are not P-sellers, it's part of our partner university. The videos are out there right now that you're more than welcome to go do them. Yes? The security? Great. Perfect. Right. There's a lot of content, I'm sure.
I know I asked this question earlier. If we had gone to the pilot camp, is that still valid, or do we have to go to the boot camp again?
Sure.
The
So,
process of transitioning from a pilot to the actual.
yeah, so we invited some select partners to be part of our P-CSA pilot in Q4. And with that, we also invited them to the CSA boot camp that was happening in May in Redmond. So for any individuals that attended the P-CSA boot camp, in addition to the P-CSA pilot, so the 3 days they spent at the boot camp and the 2 days they spent at the pilot, that qualifies for the requirement of the CSA boot camp. If they just attended the 2-day pilot but did not attend the 3 days of the CSA boot camp, they still need to go and attend that boot camp, which is, it is a 5-day boot camp before they can qualify to be a P-CSA officially. Yeah, they're about twice a year, and they are in the U.S. only, so that requirement is a U.S.-based requirement only for the CSA boot camp. So they're usually in the fall and the spring. They haven't announced when the fall one is yet, but as soon as I catch wind of it, I'll post on the Yammer group so you guys can register. I believe registration was about $1,200 last year for this spring boot camp, but it is 5 days, and I know there's many of you that probably have attended, and I've heard great things about the boot camp. And what I'm really trying to do is get a lot of that, the registration waived for our P-sellers. So that's something that I'm really pushing for as one of our benefits of the program this year, to get that waived since it is a requirement for our P-CSAs as well as just a benefit that for you guys as well. Yes.
So with the co-selling motion, I know you mentioned before, and it's kind of hidden in the deck of how the field sellers are going to have to do more co-selling with P-sellers. Is there actually something in place, some requirements on their side that's going to force that behavior to happen?
Yes, great question. And you'll probably hear a lot more of that with the Dave Willis session today. But they've rewritten our sellers' priorities that if they don't do a P-seller attached to their opportunities, they don't get paid. So they finally, left hand meets right hand, has finally come together, which has been our biggest issue in the past, is that our sellers are being paid on one thing and we're asking you guys to do another. So this has been written into the sellers' priorities. This is part of their scorecards. So having P-sellers attached to opportunities and being brought in on opportunities are critical and required now for our sellers. Great. So it looks like they're launching a new role in the field called the ECM, the Enterprise Channel Manager, which is more of the focus on the enterprise side. The territory channel manager is more of the SMC. So you'll probably see both of those where they are strictly focused on P-sellers and bringing P-sellers into customer engagements. I think Dave's going to go into detail today from the preview that I saw of it. But again, after we get through Inspire, there will be more material showed out, and I will share with you guys kind of as much of the org alignments as I can. I need to still know what decks I'm allowed, what slides I'm allowed to share externally or not. So keep an eye on the Yammer group. I know I've said that 12 times already today, but that's where I'll be posting all of this content and all this material as we continue to roll it out. Yes.
The exam requirements for the P-TSPs.
Mm-hmm.
I know you just flashed.
Yeah, I can definitely go back to that.
Is that a list that the P-TSPs will be responsible for a portion of those that they're certified to sell, or is it something that's comprehensive?
So this is an example of one of the 4 slides. So we're doing this based on the primary competency that you select when you submit your nomination form. So if you're selected that you are, your primary competency is EMS, then we would ask that you complete the 398 and the 695 exam. So you're obviously more than welcome to take more than one. However, this is where we'll line it up to the primary competency that you select, that's your workload focus. And then, since we did go through that quickly, we have them for all the workloads. So, of course. I think I go this way. So we still have about 15 minutes left, so more than happy to do more Q&A. Yes? One of the picture slides? Which one? The shark one? Well, I think that was the PT. There we go. Yeah. That wasn't the shark I saw. Yeah, that's what that one is. I come from a family of scuba divers, so we have lots of great of underwater photography. He was just a reef shark. They said we could do creative liberties, and they told me to do a tiger shark, but I have ran into a 15-foot tiger shark while snorkeling, and that was terrifying. Bye. Okay, I think that's it. So we'll wrap a little bit early, but thank you, everyone, and make sure to come to the U.S. session today with Dave Willis.